Have you ever wondered how many women move through life without realizing how deeply captivating they actually are? And I'm not talking about physical beauty alone. There is something much deeper that makes a woman unforgettable. It's the way she carries herself, the way she looks at people, the way she speaks, moves, observes, and expresses her energy without even trying. Sometimes your presence can affect someone before you have said a single word. The interesting part is that you may be the last person to notice it. You might compare yourself to unrealistic beauty standards and convince yourself that you cannot be truly attractive because you don't have a certain body type, face, or style. But real attraction has never been limited to appearance. It comes from confidence, authenticity, presence, and an energy that cannot be manufactured. Today, I want to reveal some of the strongest signs that you may be far more attractive than you realize, especially the things men notice even when they never openly admit it. Some of these signals are incredibly subtle, which is exactly why so many women miss them. Stay with me through the 9th sign because it is one of the most overlooked qualities women possess, yet it can be incredibly powerful. The first sign is that men become noticeably nervous around you. This is one of the most authentic indicators of attraction, but it is often misunderstood. If a man suddenly becomes awkward, struggles with eye contact, fidgets, or seems unusually uncomfortable, you might assume he isn't interested. Sometimes, the reality is completely different. When a man feels strongly attracted to a woman who genuinely captivates him, his body can reveal what his words are trying to hide. He may touch his face or neck, straighten his clothes, change his posture, speak unusually quickly, slow down his speech, or suddenly become quiet because he cannot think of what to say. It doesn't necessarily mean he is shy or lacks confidence. Your presence may simply be affecting him more than he expected. Some women don't just attract attention, they create a presence that is difficult to ignore. Even a normally confident man can suddenly feel uncertain when he is standing in front of someone who truly impresses him. So if you notice a man who is normally composed, becoming tense, overly aware of himself, or unusually focused on everything he is doing around you, don't automatically assume something is wrong. Your presence may simply be having an effect, and you should never make yourself smaller just to make someone else feel more comfortable. The second sign is that people look at you more than once. The first glance is easy to explain. The second glance is much more revealing. Maybe you're walking down the street, entering a restaurant, sitting in a cafe, or simply waiting somewhere, and someone looks at you before continuing on their way. Then, a moment later, they turn around and look again. That second look often happens because something about you caught their attention strongly enough that one glance wasn't enough. And it doesn't always have anything to do with wearing something dramatic or looking perfectly styled. Sometimes it's your posture, your facial expression, your calmness, or simply the way you naturally carry yourself. You may never notice these moments because you're busy thinking about where you're going or what you're doing. But when people repeatedly look twice, it's often because your presence left an impression. The third sign is that you don't think you're particularly attractive, yet people regularly compliment you. Maybe you look in the mirror and see an ordinary version of yourself, while someone else tells you that you look beautiful, or says there is something about you they cannot quite explain. That isn't necessarily random. Sometimes the qualities that make you attractive aren't the things you personally focus on. Your smile, your voice, your laugh, your expressions, the way you move, or the warmth in your personality can create an impression that a mirror cannot show you. Your hair doesn't have to be perfect, your clothes don't need to be expensive, your body doesn't have to match some imaginary standard. Yet the compliments continue because your appeal exists beyond physical perfection. There is something especially magnetic about a woman who isn't constantly trying to prove that she's beautiful. When you are simply comfortable being yourself, people can feel that authenticity. So when someone tells you there is something special about you, don't immediately dismiss it. Sometimes other people are seeing a quality in you that you've become too familiar with to recognize. The fourth sign is that men repeatedly find small excuses to be around you. A man who feels attracted to you but doesn't know how to approach you directly may create unnecessary opportunities for interaction. He might ask a simple question, request a small favor, ask for your opinion, or suddenly need help with something he could easily handle himself. On the surface, these interactions may seem completely innocent. But when the same person keeps finding reasons to interact with you, the pattern becomes meaningful. The real purpose may not be the question at all. It may simply be an excuse to spend a few more moments in your presence. Pay attention to the nervous smile, the change in his voice, the extra attention he gives you, or the way his eyes remain focused on you during even the smallest conversation. Sometimes, "Can you help me with this?" is really someone struggling to find a comfortable way to say, "I want an excuse to be near you." The fifth sign is that some women criticize you without a clear reason. This one can be uncomfortable, but it is worth understanding. When a woman naturally stands out through her confidence, appearance, kindness, or presence, not everyone will respond positively. You may encounter strange looks, unnecessary comparisons, passive-aggressive comments, or criticism over things that shouldn't matter. Someone may call you arrogant when you've barely spoken, compete with you over something you never cared about, or try to find flaws where there aren't any. That doesn't automatically mean every person who criticizes you is insecure, but when the negativity is completely unprovoked and repeatedly directed toward you, it may say more about their internal reaction than about your behavior. Your presence can sometimes remind another person of qualities they wish they possessed themselves. And instead of processing that feeling, they may respond by trying to reduce your confidence. But remember this, you don't need to dim yourself to make other people comfortable. Plenty of women will appreciate you, support you, admire you, and feel inspired by your presence. So if someone tries to make you feel smaller without giving you a genuine reason, don't immediately question your worth. Sometimes the very qualities you overlook in yourself are exactly the qualities other people notice first. And once you begin recognizing them, you may finally understand that your attractiveness was never something you needed to earn. It was already there. Take that reaction as a reminder that you may be radiating more confidence and presence than you realize. Your energy, your confidence, and the way you naturally carry yourself can sometimes make people who are uncertain about themselves feel uncomfortable. It may not always feel fair, but when someone reacts negatively without any real reason, it can reveal just how noticeable your presence actually is. The sixth sign is when complete strangers smile at you for no obvious reason. Think about those moments when you're walking through a store, waiting somewhere, riding public transportation, or simply going about your day, and a stranger suddenly smiles at you. Sometimes it's a man who doesn't know your name, has never spoken to you, and isn't even attempting to start a conversation. He simply looks at you and smiles. Maybe it's a quick, shy smile, followed by him looking away, almost as though he doesn't want you to realize he was affected. Other times, it's a confident smile that seems to communicate without words, "There is something about you." Those reactions usually aren't planned. People respond to what they feel in the moment. Attraction isn't always about specific physical features. Sometimes it's the complete impression you create through your expression, your posture, your eyes, the way you walk, or simply the calm energy you carry. A genuine smile from a stranger can be a small, silent acknowledgement of that attraction. They don't know you well enough to be responding to your personality, so their reaction is coming from the impression your presence creates. So when someone unexpectedly smiles at you, don't automatically assume it means nothing. You weren't necessarily trying to attract attention. Sometimes attention happens naturally because of the energy you bring into a space. The seventh sign is that even men who are already in relationships seem to notice you. This can be a sensitive subject, so it's important to understand the distinction. If you're naturally attractive and carry yourself with confidence, your presence can still catch someone's attention even when that person is already committed to someone else. That doesn't mean you're responsible for his behavior, and it certainly doesn't mean you are encouraging it. You could simply be attending a gathering, sitting in a cafe, walking somewhere, or having a completely normal conversation when you notice a man who seems unusually focused on you. He may try to hide the attention, but sometimes his eyes, posture, or repeated glances reveal what he is trying not to show. Attraction isn't always something people consciously choose. A person can notice someone without intending to act on that attraction. What matters is how they handle it. So don't carry unnecessary guilt simply because someone noticed you. You're not responsible for another person's thoughts or reactions. Your appearance, confidence, personality, and feminine presence may naturally stand out without you doing anything provocative or intentional. The eighth sign is receiving a surprising amount of attention online without trying very hard to get it. Maybe you upload an ordinary picture, nothing overly dramatic, no elaborate pose, no revealing outfit, no carefully constructed attempt to attract attention. Yet somehow, the likes, comments, reactions, and messages start appearing, and you might look at the post afterward and think, what was so special about that? The answer may have very little to do with the picture itself. People are responding to you. Real attraction doesn't always require showing more skin, wearing expensive clothes, or creating a perfectly polished image. Sometimes what catches attention is your expression, your eyes, your confidence, your authenticity, or the feeling your presence creates. That quality can still come through a screen. You may believe you need to improve your appearance, use more makeup, create better poses, or carefully construct an image before people will notice you. But sometimes the opposite is true. Your natural presence may be what makes people stop scrolling. A simple outfit, a makeup-free photo, or an ordinary moment from your life can sometimes receive more attention than something you spent hours trying to perfect. That unexpected response can remind you that your appeal isn't dependent on how hard you try to create it. The ninth sign is that men sometimes become unusually confused around you. This is one of the most noticeable signs, but it can also be one of the most frustrating. Maybe a man starts giving you obvious attention. He looks for opportunities to talk to you, compliments you, initiates conversations, seems genuinely interested, and makes you believe he wants to get closer. Then, without warning, he suddenly becomes distant. He disappears for several days. His energy changes. He pulls back without explaining anything. Then, just when you've stopped expecting anything from him, he returns and starts acting as though nothing happened. You're left wondering what changed. Was he playing with you? Did you misunderstand everything? Did he lose interest? But sometimes, the situation is more complicated than that. A man can be strongly attracted to a woman and still become uncertain when that attraction feels more powerful than he expected. Instead of moving forward confidently, he may become overwhelmed by his own thoughts, hesitate, retreat, and then return once he feels more comfortable again. That doesn't automatically make his behavior healthy or acceptable. Attraction alone isn't enough to create a stable relationship. But when someone repeatedly moves closer and then pulls away, it can sometimes reveal an internal conflict rather than a complete lack of interest. And this is where many women make the mistake of questioning their own attractiveness, when the real issue may be the other person's inability to handle what he is feeling. Sometimes he really isn't playing games. He may simply be struggling to understand what he's feeling. When a man becomes deeply attracted to a woman he sees as unusual or genuinely special, that attraction can become overwhelming. He may suddenly feel uncertain, intimidated, or unsure about how he should behave around her, so he creates distance. Not necessarily because he doesn't care, but because caring more than he expected can make him uncomfortable. You might interpret his withdrawal as rejection, while inside, he may be trying to figure out how to approach you without revealing too much of what is happening emotionally. Some men step back because they don't believe they're good enough for the woman in front of them. Others need time to build enough confidence to come closer again. Either way, the reaction can point toward the same underlying reality. Something about your presence has affected them more deeply than they expected. So the next time a man suddenly becomes distant without an obvious reason and then reappears as though nothing happened, don't immediately assume it means he lost interest. Sometimes what looks like confusion is actually attraction mixed with uncertainty and a lack of emotional confidence. The 10th sign is that you still don't recognize your own influence. And honestly, this may be the strongest sign of all. Many women who naturally attract attention have absolutely no idea that they do. They spend years comparing themselves to other women, questioning their appearance, wondering whether they're attractive enough, and believing they need to become someone else before they can truly stand out. Meanwhile, they are already affecting people around them. You can see it when you enter a room, without trying to become the center of attention. Yet somehow people notice you anyway. You can hear it when you speak naturally, without trying to impress anyone. But somehow your words leave a stronger impression than those of people who are desperately trying to be noticed. Why does that happen? Because you're not performing, you're simply being yourself. There is tremendous power in a woman who doesn't constantly seek approval. When your personality, appearance, confidence, and actions come from authenticity rather than the need to impress, people can sense the difference immediately. But when you don't recognize your own value, that power remains partially hidden. It's like having a light inside you but keeping it covered because you're afraid it's not bright enough. The moment you begin accepting your worth, not with arrogance, but with quiet self-respect, everything starts to change. Your posture becomes different. Your eye contact becomes stronger. Your energy becomes calmer. You stop asking whether you're enough and start moving as though you already know the answer. And people can feel that shift, even from a distance. So if you still question the effect you have on others, Remember something important. Your power doesn't begin when someone finally recognizes it. It begins when you recognize it yourself. The 11th sign is that people notice your absence more than you expect. Some women create an immediate impact when they enter a room. But there are other women whose absence becomes even more powerful than their arrival. You may be one of them. When you leave, something changes. The atmosphere may feel slightly different. Conversations lose some of their warmth. The energy you naturally brought into the space is suddenly missing, and people notice that difference even if nobody says it aloud. This isn't simply about being physically beautiful, it's about the emotional experience people associate with your presence. A woman becomes unforgettable when people don't just remember what she looked like, they remember how they felt around her. That's why your absence can trigger thoughts about you. Someone may realize you're gone and suddenly wonder where you went. Someone might notice you walking away and continue watching until you're out of sight. Later, they may even mention that you left. It may sound like a small thing, but sometimes, "You left already?" carries a much deeper message. Your presence was felt, and now that you're gone, the difference is obvious. You don't simply enter people's surroundings, you leave an impression behind. The 12th sign is that silence around you doesn't feel awkward. It feels intense. This is something many women completely overlook, but men can feel it very strongly. When two people are genuinely drawn to each other, conversation isn't always necessary to maintain the connection. Sometimes you can sit beside someone without saying anything, and instead of becoming uncomfortable, the silence feels strangely powerful. Maybe you're sitting together and neither of you speaks for a moment. He doesn't immediately reach for his phone. He doesn't suddenly find an excuse to leave. He doesn't desperately search for something to say. He simply stays. That kind of silence can reveal a level of comfort and attraction that words sometimes fail to communicate. It isn't necessarily that he has nothing to say. He may simply be absorbed in the moment and processing what he feels while being close to you. He may quietly wonder why your presence feels so calming, why being near you feels different, or why you can affect him without doing anything at all. There is a unique kind of confidence in a woman who doesn't feel the need to fill every silence. She doesn't chase attention. She doesn't perform for approval. She can simply exist in the moment, and somehow that still creates intensity. That effortless presence is powerful because it cannot be forced. And when someone can sit in silence with you without feeling the need to escape it, sometimes the silence itself is saying more than words ever could.